On this last day of the year, Tesla executives appear to be keeping their word on promises they've said they'd accomplish. First, Vice President of Autonomy Ashok Elluswamy has now released full self-driving version 12.6 to Tesla Hardware 3 cars. While not yet version 13, Ashok said they pulled in a few important improvements from V13 to this 12.6 release. It will initially roll out to Tesla Model S and X customers first, but the rest will get it next week. For fun, we'll also have videos of a self-driving Waymo getting into an accident, hitting a self-driving fridge. Weirdly, this was filmed by a self-driving Tesla. But then we also have a video of a self-driving Tesla that recognizes the self-driving fridge and appropriately waits for it. Second, Tesla China released their vehicle sales for the week, and it's good. They reported insuring 18.6 thousand cars in China. That's close to 8% higher than last year to date. If you consider that there are still 2 days left to end the year, we shall see where we end up. Finally, Tesla China has just officially announced they started trial production at the new Shanghai Megapack factory. Lots of great news to end the year, and one of my favorite guests to end the year with, fantastic, is Brian White. He's the host of his own YouTube channel, FutureAza. Thank you so much, Brian.
Good morning, Herbert. Yeah, the robot wars have begun, and we'll see how they all shake out. But robots filming robots doing bad things to robots seems very appropriate.
Ashok Elluswamy made a comment about that, right? Robots should be kind to other robots. It is interesting, right? Yeah, 3 robots, right? 3 cars autonomously interacting with each other. We'll take a look at that. First, of course, Ashok promised, right, as Vice President of Autonomy, that version 12.6 would roll out to Hardware 3 cars before the end of this year. And it kind of like pros and good and bad, right? The bad part was, yes, it's only initially rolling out to the S and X customers, and other platforms should be within a week. But the good part is they pulled in a few important improvements from V13 into this 12.6. So there should be additional ones. So it's starting to roll out now with customers with Hardware 3. I think you have a couple cars with that. I've got a couple cars with Hardware 3 as well. So I'm looking forward to it. It includes end-to-end highway, improved city streets behavior, which reduces false slowdowns, improves obstacle avoidance, customizable speed profiles, earlier and more natural lane change decisions, redesigned controller for smoother, more accurate tracking, and max speed update. What's your thoughts about what they rolled out, Brian?
So I've been getting the same comments you have, I'm sure, with all the nervous Nellies saying, oh, we're never going to get full autonomy on Hardware 3. That was a rumor started by one very bitter journalist with an axe to grind and has no connection to anything any of the engineers have ever said. Oh, but they confirmed that if they need to, they'll do an upgrade. Yeah, that's an if. That's a big if. And it was only had to be answered because the one reporter kept pushing. So great. I think it's going to S and X first because it's a much smaller pool. And if it works, then they'll roll it out wider. That's how they do it. And it's an easier way to keep track of it. Could be that the S and X have something about them that makes them better suited to it. We'll find out soon enough. These are big changes. Anyone who's experienced version 13 will tell you that it is an improvement, that the usual 2 steps forward, 1 step back, this wasn't. This was just 2 steps forward. If the best of what's in version 13 has made it into the version 12 updates that S and X are getting, those drivers are going to be very happy. We only have to wait a few days to start hearing reviews from people who have the new software to get their first takes on it. But I am very, very, I'm not even hopeful. I'm just confident that it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, very much a good thing. 12.6 is going to be a huge improvement. Not quite version 13, but Elon did promise, right? If you have a Hardware 3 car, that if for some reason version 13 is not able to work there, which I don't think that they've concluded that that's going to be the case.
No.
Then we'll just upgrade you. Just shut everybody up for free, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. There was an early video where Sandy Munro and his team tore down a vehicle looking at Hardware 4 for the first time. And they said, I don't think you could retrofit Hardware 3 cars with this hardware. And the reasons they gave would be true if you or I tried to do it, not true if a manufacturer tried to do it. Yeah. And then since then, we've gotten clarity from Tesla that the vehicles have been designed to be upgraded if they needed to. So I'm not worried about any of that.
Yeah, and I think the other consideration is that they can take the same, neural net software that they've created, that they have, and retrofit it, or not retrofit, but design it for the Hardware 3 car. But they may not, like, why bother doing that? Because that's going to take several months, right? Why not just upgrade everybody to AI5 cars, the AI5 chips, which is what Brian Wang was saying. Because if you've already got this ability to go robotaxi, why not spend the $2,000? Tesla will spend it, not you, to upgrade all cars to AI5. Start with the hardware 3 cars, upgrade them to AI5, and eventually even us hardware 4 cars will switch to AI5 too. So, yeah.
Because it takes time. It takes time and money. And if you can fix it over the air, you know how Tesla likes over the air. 99% of recalls are handled that way. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is fun. We'll watch some videos here. You've got this self-driving fridge hit by a self-driving Waymo, recorded by a self-driving Tesla. So you can see this recording here. So we'll watch a little bit of it here. I'm going to turn off the music. So there's that little fridge that's driving this kind of serve robotics, crossing the, there you go. And there seems to be yeah. Let's take another look at that. But I mean, that's a Waymo turning right. The fridge was going down. Of course, it didn't see it despite all the LiDAR. Oh, poor little kitty. Let's take a look. Good thing it was just the hardware. And it looked like it sped up too. Does that look like it sped up?
I can't tell if it's sped up. So the big misunderstanding with LiDAR is that too many people think it is a silver bullet, and it is not. It is just another layer of vision. And we've seen cruises that had slammed into the back of city buses. It doesn't help you to have better vision if the vision isn't your problem. If your problem is the brain that's powering the vision. Yeah. I can only see in one direction at a time. Pure vision can see in all directions. That's already an improvement. But I don't need, microscopic level detail vision to be able to do 99% of the things I would need to do. Really, I mean, almost all the things. I can't think of things for which I need the kind of precision LiDAR would have. It's not going to, well, maybe it could help you determine if that's a paper bag or a small animal before hitting it. Yeah, maybe, but also the compute requirement is orders of magnitude greater. I don't see it being even helpful. And the only people I've seen saying that it is critical are low-level engineers who work for the other FSD companies, for the other companies working on autonomy, who are really, really angry that Tesla's leading the way with a much cheaper, simpler, and more elegant solution.
I like the way at the end here. Take a look what happens. The Serve Robotics guy backs out and starts driving again.
And rolls away.
Rolls away. Cute.
One of us planned for this, Waymo.
Nice. Now here's the kind of an opposite scenario where the Model 3, a Tesla Model 3 on version 13, recognizes the self-driving fridge, Serve Robotics, and crosses the road. So let's take a look at that one. It's fun. It's interesting that, the other car, their lead car actually went through, right? That's a human driver. Didn't wait for that. Just took,
it's got blinking
you're supposed to stop.
eyes. Yeah.
You're supposed to stop. But, let's take a look.
The eyes blink. Did you see?
No.
Yeah.
The eyes blinked?
Right there. Yeah. What a great feature. That cost you almost nothing.
Yeah. I interviewed Serve Robotics. They've got a fantastic rollout happening already. They're well funded. They're a public company, actually. Ashok Elluswamy came and replied saying that knows to respect other robots equally. That's what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, but Waymo's like, you saved receipts. Snitches get stitches.
All right. So China. What's happening, Brian? We got the week of December 23rd to 29th. So last night, it was reported China insured 18.6 thousand registrations. This is 8.3% higher than last quarter, 13.6% year over year. By the way, the quarter's not ended, right? There's 2 more days to go. Year to date, we're 7.7% year over year. So let's take a quick peek here. This is pink. Is the fourth quarter of 2024. We're almost at the end here. And it handily beat what it was doing Q3. Now, the green is where it was last year. So if you take a look at the green versus the pink, that's what you're comparing it to, how it did last year. So, at the very beginning, we were like, didn't know how far ahead we were. And then now we're pretty well there.
Yeah, now we can see it. Well, I'm telling you, Herbert, it's doomed. Shanghai can't grow anymore. It can't grow anymore. It can't. Well, does it need to? Because we keep seeing charts that look like this. I was of the opinion that we would see a dip. So I had put out a projection of 504 something, 504, 507,414 was my delivery number. But I'm going to be revising that upward because of this last report that came in yesterday, because I thought there would be a slowdown for the changeover to Model Y, Juniper, in the closing weeks of this month. The closing, and here we are. The numbers are still just going crazy. And that means if the changeover is as painless as we believe it will be, next year's going to be even better because the Juniper is easier to manufacture and has, at this point, higher demand, I think, than the legacy version.
We're going to report on that, actually. So there's news that says that Tesla's already making 200 Model Y Junipers now per day. So it seems like you said, it didn't exactly slow anybody down, but that's a good point. So here we are. Tesla Chan does a great job. 18,600 for 23 to 29, but they're still 30th and the 31st. And so in those 2 days, you can get about 2,000 cars. So we could end up at 22,000. And
it's crazy. Tesla Shanghai alone makes
for the week.
Thousands of cars a week. This is great. This is great. From one facility.
If you look at here's 2024, this column, and then this is 2023. And he explains that, of course, you can't do this 52 weeks, and not every single week is not exactly
doesn't line up perfectly.
And there's still 2 days left for the final year. So here we are, 656 versus 610, about 44,000. Maybe by the end of the year, before the next 2 days, it'll be 50,000 higher than it was last year. The question is, can Europe make it up? So we've got the consensus from the sell side analysts. They're expecting 506,000 cars sold, and you just said you were around the same place.
A little bit higher, but yes, and I'll be revising upward, and they may have revised upward. By the time we see these, they're a good week stale.
Gotcha. All right, and so some more signs of what China's doing. It's doing its best until the last delivery date of the year. This is great. They like to put stuffed animals, and they really celebrate it.
I did a video recently about the delivery experience in China and how it's different from really anywhere in the world. And when you place your order, they put you in a something similar to a Discord group that has your delivery center. It has wrap, PPF, accessory companies in there too, and it has insurance agents. It has everything you need to make it go painlessly. And if you have questions, you can just ask them, because someone in that group will know, and they're all, professionals trying to help you out the same way you need the help.
So by the end of this year, we don't know how it's going to turn out, but there's some potentially bad news here. This Fault Bugs is reporting that this is being discussed in China, that some deliveries in China are being affected right now because of a snafu in the tax software or whatever. Let's take a look at it. More and more consumers, including Tesla buyers, are reporting that their newly purchased cars can't be registered, and they're about to miss out on subsidies and corporate discount events. So at the end of the year, various promotions, subsidies, bank policy in place, new car market is booming. Many consumers have decided to pick up their cars before New Year's, right? So let's say starting on December 27th. But numerous consumers who went to dealerships to collect their cars found that due to a tax system crash, invoices couldn't be issued, preventing them from driving away with their new vehicles. The promised repair of the tax system has not yielded results even after 48 hours. The system has not been restored. Don't know if this affects Tesla, but if it's across the board, then they're unable to complete their purchase before the year. So that's just something to consider. This has happened before. Similar incident occurred in September. So, it can happen. These things happen.
It can happen. And I've dealt I've talked with Fault Bugs a number of times on X. That is an account that is inside China that has a good understanding of what's going on. But it is, at this point, a single source rumor to me, and I take those with a grain of salt. If it happened in September and we didn't notice any impact, that leads me to believe that we will not notice an impact this time either. And I think the disconnect between the time that people find out there's an issue and it's not going to affect their buying decision. Their buying decision was already made. It'll just impact their stress levels at a personal level.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk Model Y. The new Model Ys we were talking about earlier. It looks like that it's producing. They're already producing it. There's been numerous reports, and it was actually reported in China's news, TV and others as well. So it's got a little bit more credence that this is actually happening. We're seeing more and more of these videos. I showed that last several days of Juniper being caught in the wild, them testing it out and so forth. And so Tesla Chan said that in the news, the Genki Shanghai's new Model Y daily production capacity has approached 600. Okay. Used to be 200 per day. Now it's 600. And according to the source, there will be no price change for the new Model Y being released in China. And then you saw this one. I saw this from you pointing this one out. You said you love this. Based on the order volume from door panel suppliers, the production capacity of the refreshed Model Y Giga Shanghai, it's going to surge to 2,400 units per day starting January 1st. Whoa.
So I would take that with a tremendous grain of salt. I find it to be an interesting data point, but not a conclusive one. And that is one of the posts on which Fault Bugs reached out to me and said, just so you know, that Chris Zhang guy is not well respected in the EV community in China. He's had some problems with his proclamations before. But it is just one data point. I can't see 2,400 a day being something that you would achieve on day one of the quarter. I think that would be optimistic. Not impossible, but optimistic. And, you do have to ramp. Even after a holiday, you have to ramp back up again. So going from 200 to 600, very believable. 600 to 2,400 to a volume that they do not achieve today seems a little optimistic, but I do believe that the ramp will go very quickly and that these will be produced in higher volume than the previous Model Y because it has been simplified and that's all it takes.
Yeah. So what's your expectation, Brian, for the Model Y? So it sounds like that they're already producing, let's say 200 or 600, whatever, some amount of cars. Anything over 100 to me sounds like you're already like beyond just prototyping things and you're just moving things forward. This is it, though. If it's actually, we're hearing it now, then it sounds like that by January, what do you think? In January, February, that it's going to be a complete flip over in China, Shanghai?
Yes, I think this changeover will go quicker than we saw with the Model 3. Model 3 went one model, and then the next two models, I think, about a month later, because they had two lines and they could do it differently. The Model Y is, if it's built the way it is in Fremont, which is to say not a traditional line, but more of a circle is what the engineer told me. And I tried every analogy in the book to try and wrap my head around it, and they wouldn't let me see it. So I couldn't get the firsthand report on that. It would happen. It could happen very quickly. We saw Shanghai was the first factory to change over the Model 3. And they did a masterful job. I think they are empowered to do what they know they need to do. And I think that if they've been producing them this whole time, over the last month or two, and really over the last month, we know we've seen truckloads of them go out. If they've been producing them over the last month and the volumes on the already existing Model Y are still sky high, they know what they're doing. This is going to be insane.
Cross our fingers, but that's the other news, right? Wasn't it that Model Y, the existing one, he's been sold out for the year already? Could be because they're doing the promotions. Could be that they're trying to sell the inventory, close it out. But they did it. They sold it out. Most people believe that when they do things like that, the inventory's gone, sold out for the year, means that demand is so high. And then Yeah.
And then we get the new numbers, and the new numbers are still very strong. That's another reason I had come in as low as I did at 507 was because I had seen the reports that Model Y was sold out. I thought they'd have cleared the backlog by now, and they hadn't. So it means that new orders were gone, and that likely available inventory was also depleted. I didn't realize that they would coordinate the changeover as efficiently as they did. And you also mentioned in the post that the price will be unchanged. Now, you remember when the Model 3 refresh hit, I predicted, oh no, they're going to bump the price, get all the early adopters. And you said, I don't think they will. And
I thought they were going to lower the price, and that was so wrong.
That's right. Well, I guess then we were both wrong, and a happy medium, they kept the price the same to give you more car, but with greater margin. Fantastic.
Okay. So you're right. This is very interesting. We'll see what happens in January. But boy, if these guys did it this so smooth, it would be like, the baton being passed, and it was just so smooth you didn't even know what happened, Wow, this is brilliant. We'll see. But so far, it's looking good. So the other thing that seemed to have happened so quickly now is Tesla Shanghai Megapack factory is now online. And it was approved officially for completion on December 27th. So a few days ago, the plant has now started test production. So the rumors that we were seeing, the reports from the Chinese news turned out to be true, and Tesla themselves has now confirmed that this is actually online. This is the news report here. And Tesla's energy storage superfactory in Shanghai begins trial production. So Tesla China announced, this is Tuesday. Yeah, that's yesterday, today, that the Tesla Shanghai energy storage superfactory project successfully passed completion inspection on December 27th, taking only 7 months from the start of construction in May to completion. The company said the factory has begun trial production, expected to formally start mass production early next year. Ooh, it just took them 7 months. This is their second Megapack factory. It took them less than half the time that they built the first one in Lathrop. Boy, did they learn. This capacity is still being said at this point is going to be 10,000 units per year, but we believe that's 40 gigawatts. That's what Lathrop is able to do. We think that they're going to, because it's the same as Lathrop, it'll double what they're able to do. But we think that there's going to actually be more than just 10,000 per year. New factory covers an area of 200,000 square meters. They aim to export that to overseas markets, including Asia Pacific, generate billions in revenue. There will be local low-cost LFP batteries. You know a lot about Megapack factories. What's your thought about this?
I do. It turns out I've been fielding a lot of questions and misunderstandings about this. I've seen people still under the belief that it is 10 times the size of the one in Lathrop. It is not. There was a news report 7 months ago talking about the site and saying that the area on which it would be built would be 10 times larger. And they mean the land, not the factory. The factory is 2 to 3 times larger. We don't have a good estimate just yet. That's one thing to clear up. Another said, oh, well, Tesla makes so much better batteries. That's why. Hey, can anyone tell me what chemistry they're using? It's not their batteries. They're using LFPs from nearby factories. It's just off-the-shelf products that they can get at commodity low pricing. The 7 months completion, that's what I'd been targeting all along, because the original one, people, it took half the time. Well, I mean, the original Lathrop was about a year, a little under a year, as I recall, and this was 7 months. So what I'd done is just taken that same thing and said it's going to be a little bit faster because it's China. And China moves China fast, and Tesla moves Tesla fast. And when you combine them, Tesla China fast is ridiculous. So 7 months. This is how they do it, and this is right in line with what we're expecting. I didn't think it'd be commissioned on December 27th. I thought more like January 5th, because just after the quarter ended. But I mean, within a week, I'll take it. I think that's a pretty good estimate. It's a single floor building. It's not ridiculously complicated like building a car. There are no fancy curved panels and all that. There's no glass. There's no crash testing on a Megapack. These go together real quick. And to the people saying, wow, they're going to get 30, 40% margins on these because they're surely cheaper to build in China, which they definitely are. There's no tariffs on the batteries coming in. They're also in a much more competitive market. So I think that will compress the margin a bit, but I still expect to see 20+% margins.
Great information, Brian. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Boy, so let's, I want to ask you this question, which I've asked before, that, the way I position this whole show today, right, is that Tesla has been keeping their word on promises that they've said that they'd accomplish. And Elon himself has said that whenever he makes a comment, he tries to hit right in the middle. And yet, the media out there always just focus on the fact that Tesla, we make fun of Elon when he says 2 weeks and it's always off. But then you have pointed out a whole long list of things that Tesla has able to accomplish ahead of schedule. But let's ask the same question, but this time for 2024. Yeah, it's not quite yet 2025. This year, 2024, and the things that they've been saying that they're going to accomplish this year. Did they do it on time? What's your feeling?
90% of their targets they hit, at least, maybe 95, depending on which ones you count as targets. The FSD will be ready at the end of next year. Well, we've heard that many, many times. I didn't hear that about 2024. If someone else did, it was missed. No. But the roadmap is clear. What did they say they would do? Bring out the Model 3 in the US? They did. I would say that was absolutely on schedule. The AI team gave us a list of all the things they were going to be having released. They started telling us in August. And I think all of them hit, if not all but 1 or 2 out of a list of 10 to 15. That's pretty darn good. And I think expectations were lowered. They were made reasonable for what the year was going to be. We were not told it was going to be a 50% growth year. It is entirely possible, based on those new Shanghai numbers, that we have a new record year by a hair, which is what you were predicting. And next year will be bigger, with the caveat being that there will be some time to change over the factories, but once they change them over, they will sell more because they're easier to build and you have more margin to play with, and the demand should be seeing a resurgence because it is the most popular single model car in the world.
Yeah. The list I think of is the supercluster Cortex in Giga Texas, much faster than anybody expected, much bigger than we all expected. You've got, like you said, the full self-driving. It's appearing quicker. Of course, the Megapack factory we just talked about now, that happened, that they said that they were going to get done. There's a few more things I just was thinking about. I forgot. Oh, the bot. They said that they'd have version 3, which is the one with the hands integrated. Pretty shocking that they showed that it's no longer just the thing that we were seeing October 10th. This come by the hand by itself. It's actually in a bot already. That has happened right on time as they said it would. The Cybercab appearing. Now, of course, some people will say, well, it was 3 months delayed. Well, that's just the event. They had 20 friggin' Cybercabs. And then that wasn't just, and then they had the 40 cars being able to drive you around. So I think that was pretty shocking to people. Then they had the 20 bots there. All of those things, people were like, that would have been a stretch goal. Imagine that. I want 20 bots walking around, all of them. I want 20 Cybercaps driving everybody around. That's crazy.
It is crazy. There's a show that comes out once a year called The Big Fat Quiz of the Year on Channel 4 in England, where comedians make up funny answers, but also try and get the right answers to the biggest news of the year. And one of the questions was, how did the Tesla bot answer the question of, what's your biggest challenge, or are you whatever the question was. And I'm watching this with my family, and when they go to play the clip, it was John Stringer. And my kids are like, I know that guy. It was, if that doesn't make for a crazy cap to your year, Jimmy Carr making fun of you along with the panelists. What fun.
I didn't know that was happening. All right. Thank you so much, Brian. Follow him on his YouTube channel, FutureAza. He knows things. Brian knows things. Thank you for sharing that with me and our audience. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.